Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama Hare
Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Rama
Krishna Krishna
Rama
Hare
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 Rama
Krishna
Rama
Krishna
Rama
Hare Hare Rama
Hare Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Vancha
Hare
kalpatarubhyascha
Krishna
kripa
Hare
sindhubhya
Krishna
eva
Krishna
cha
Krishna
patitanam
Hare
pavanebhyo
Hare
vaishnavebhyo namo
Hare
namaha
Krishna Hare
अनंत
Krishna
कोटि
Krishna
वैष्णव वृंद
Krishna
की जय नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय हरे कृष्णा. This is Shama Supriya Devi Dasi from Houston, welcoming all the devotees to our Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. I thank all the devotees for joining this chanting session and giving your wonderful association this morning. And please forgive me for stopping your sincere and ecstatic chanting. Thank you to each and everyone. And now we will move to our next part of our session, that is our Caitanya Bhagavat. And before that, can I know who are all joining this morning?
Krishna Shyam Supriya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Lasmi Devdasi from Atlanta. Thank you, Mataji, for your warm welcome.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Vilasni Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the sessions and giving us your very wonderful association and always encouraging us, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru and Gauranga and all assembled devotees. This is Shashidhar joining from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shashidhar Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining the call and giving your very wonderful association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sham Supriya Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinta Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving your wonderful association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashamati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji, for joining the calls and giving your wonderful association each and every day. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Dandatnam Dr. Kappagalli from Kanyakumari district. Dandatnam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Karpagavalli Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, joining the calls and giving your very sweet association all the way from South India, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranama, glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirtida Sundari Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Kirtida Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji, for joining the call and giving your very valuable association this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Neetu from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Neetu Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the calls and giving your very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, anybody on the call would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am Ranganathan, R.K. Ranganathan from Tirchi.
Hare Krishna, Ranganathan Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. We are very glad to have you on the call, Prabhu. Is it your first time, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. I have been introduced by my sister, Dr. Karpagavalli.
Oh, very nice, Prabhu. Please join the calls and give your association, Prabhu. Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Uttara from Atlanta.
Hare Krishna, Uttara Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and giving your very wonderful association, Mataji. Your name is Uttara Narayani, right, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
A very sweet name, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Join the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shyam Supriya Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Gopika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the calls and giving your very wonderful association. Hope you're doing well, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees to our Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call of our Caitanya Bhagavata class. And today we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Radha Pramod Prabhuji. So before handing the call to Prabhuji, I would like to read the quote of Srila Prabhupada for today. It's March 8th. Temple means people should come. People should learn the science of God, not that to make a business of temple. Temple means spiritual education shelter. People should come and learn what is spiritual life, what is God, what is my relationship with God. Calcutta, March 8th, 1972. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call and giving your very precious time and association, Prabhu, and enlightening on the topic of Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda from 17.25 to 27, Prabhuji. Please take over the call, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak on, giving me opportunity to speak on Chaitanya Bhagavat. And this is a very important section from Chaitanya Bhagavat. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to Gaya, and from here his devotional pastimes start after this section. And this is where he is going to take initiation from Ishwarpuri. So before that, there are some other pastimes that are performed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before I chant, I'll just offer prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Hare Krishna. So this is 17th chapter, the last chapter of Adilita, verse 25. You are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yetan hadasya pada bhave nirantara tahana avashyadasya karena Ishvara. Translation: the Lord desires to be the servant of anyone who always desires to be a servant of the Lord. I'll read the translation again. The Lord desires to be the servant of anyone who always desires to be a servant of the Lord. This is the commentary by Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. The commentary is a little big, so I made the commentary point-wise so that we'll be able to understand the commentary. It is a big commentary, that's why I made it. It is not my notes, this is the commentary only. Okay. There is no possibility of achieving pure devotional service by either karma or jnana. This is by Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. There is no possibility of achieving pure devotional service by either karma or jnana. Considering the qualification of those who cannot or do not desire to surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord, the Lord has inaugurated the process of karma and jnana in this world. So for who cannot do devotion, for them. The conditioned souls wander throughout the universe while following karma and jnana. It is generally found that such persons have no qualification for achieving devotional service to the Lord. But when the desire for material enjoyment or liberation of persons who are on the platform of devotional service mixed respectively with karma and jnana are gradually uprooted, then by the influence of pure devotional service, they can attain eternal supreme auspiciousness, are qualified for the service of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord are constantly endeavoring to achieve the eternally relishable service of the Lord. They are neither prepared to serve any temporary, mundane, enjoyable object that is not related to the Lord. The Lord always awards one the qualification to serve Him according to one's service attitude. Now, the first part was telling about how karma and jnana is not the qualification, and this part Lord is telling what desire devotees are aspiring for. One should not misunderstand that from this that the conditioned souls may treat the Supreme Lord as a servant, because when the Lord awards one's qualification to serve Him according to one's service attitude, and in this purport, when it is said that the Lord desires to be servant of everyone, so there is a confusion. One should not misunderstand from this that the conditioned soul may treat the Supreme Lord as a servant or independently subjugate Him by considering Him a controlled instrument for fulfilling one's illicit desires, and expect that the Lord will serve such an atheist as a so-called servant. Rather, one must remember that in order to encourage the demonic propensity of being completely controlled by mundane fruitive activities of living entities averse to the Lord from time immemorial, in other words, in order to deceive and bewilder the godless living entities, the Lord has engaged His external energy Maya on the pretext of facilitating such living entities. Due to illusion, the conditioned souls accept the illusory energy of Lord as an object of enjoyment, as dear, as related to Him, as worshipable. Thus embraces misconceptions about the absolute truth. In this way, rather than worshipping the Lord, he becomes intoxicated with the desire to enjoy the fruits of his karma. If one engages in uninterrupted and unmotivated devotional service of the Supreme Lord, who is eternally worshipable, the proprietor of Maya, and beyond the reach of material perceptions, then such a fortunate living entity no longer maintains the propensity or desire for serving temporary separated material objects. Then, on the pretext of accepting service from his unallowed devotees, the Lord also serves his own devotees. Lord Sri Gaura Sundara enacted the pastime of drinking the water in order to teach and glorify the propensity for serving the Lord of Brahmanas who have given up temporary abominable material pride, who have become Trinadapi Sunichan and Taroriva Saishna, and who have accepted the transcendental water that has washed the lotus feet of eternal Lord Lord Sri Caitanya Chandra as the only drinkable substance in the entire creation. Being bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord, the Smartas and Prakrita Sahajiyas, who are averse to the Lord and baffled by Maya, consider that pure Brahmanas under the shelter of lotus feet of Sri Caitanya and demonic Brahmanas who are averse to Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas are opposed to Sri Chaitanya are equal. In other words, they consider the so-called Brahmanas, who are actually Kripanas, traverse on the path to hell, absorbed in illusory activities not related to the Lord, and devoid of spiritual knowledge regarding the inexhaustible, infallible Lord, and Brahmanas who are worshipable of non-dual Lord on the same platform. Now, but Sri Gaurasundara displays the proper conclusions of the verse. Swapakam iva nekshata loka vipran avaishnavam. If a person born in a Brahmana family is an avaishnava, a non-devotee, one should not see his face. Exactly as one should not look upon the face of Chandala or dog eater. And as a bona fide spiritual master, he brings eternal auspiciousness to those Prakrit Sadhyas and Smartas by opening their eyes, which are covered by darkness of ignorance. While distorting the meaning of Bhagavad Gita verse 4.11 verse, Yataman prapadyante tamastate bhajamyam, persons who do not follow Vedic principles, who commit mistakes, who are duplicitous, intoxicated, short-sighted, habituated to cheating at others, and expert in material knowledge, exhibit a type of foolishness that simply result in distorting and changing the actual meaning. They are indifferent to understanding the meaning of the words prapanna or surrender, and considered proud non-Vaishnava living entities who are devoid of surrender on the same platform as surrendered Vaishnavas. They are fully engaged in activities that are detrimental to neophytes of this world who are ignorant of scriptural conclusions. Only those devotees who are non-duplicitous, surrendered worshippers of the Lord are qualified to serve the Lord, and the Lord also reciprocates by awarding his own rare, loving devotional service to such liberated souls. The Lord never reciprocates with deceitful, non-devotee persons who desire liberation. In Srimad Bhagavatam 5.6.18 it is stated, Astu eva anga bhagavan bhajata mukundo mukti dadati karavichit smana bhakti yogam. Therefore, O king, those engaged in getting the Lord's favor attain liberation from the Lord very easily, but he does not very easily give the opportunity to render direct service unto him. Maya, as the Lord's maid servant, bewilders the ever living entity into accepting the Supreme Lord as a product of matter, while in fact she is further increasing the ever living entity's entanglement in the modes of material nature. And continuation of the purport, 5 types of devotional rasas are exhibited between the devotees and the worshipable Lord. Worshipable Lord, who is beyond the perception of material senses and the only Vishaya or object of all rasas. The Lord as a Vishaya can favorably accept any one of the 5 types of rasas. In the form of Narayana, the Lord accepts 2.5 types of rasas: Shanta, neutrality; Dasya, servitorship; and Gaurava Sakya, friendship in awe and veneration. From his devotees on the path of regulative devotional service, and as Vajendra Nandana Krishna, he accepts the other 2.5 superior rasas: Vishramba Sakya, friendship in equality; Vatsalya, parental; and Madhurya, conjugal, from his devotees on the path of Anuraga or attachment. In this way, he awards any one of the above mentioned 5 rasas to his devotees on the path of attachment, and thus exhibits his qualities of Bhakta Vatsalya, affection for his devotees, and Bhakta Premadhinavata, being controlled by the love of his devotees. So this is not notes, this is only the purport, but I made it in such a way so that we'll be able to understand what actually Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is trying to tell. Now we try to understand when here the shloka is telling the Lord desires to be servant of anyone who always desires to serve the Lord, why so much commentary is given? What exactly this purport is talking? We will try to understand what is that logic, what exactly that point is meant. It looks quite simple that okay, Lord want to serve, want to serve them. It's that much. And why so much big purport? and it starts with karma and jnana. This is also very important. What exactly Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is trying to teach us in this purports. And there are some simple points, but he's trying to emphasize, we will also try to understand. Now, first he started from karma and jnana, how it is different from bhakti. And what we can achieve by bhakti cannot be achieved by karma and jnana. That is the first thing. In other processes, I don't know whether I'll be able to explain all 3 verses. I'll be, at least one verse I will try to do some justice. So I will try to explain what is bhakti compared to other process. Why Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is talking about karma and jnana, where just the translation is Lord desires to be servant of anyone. That's all. And here Bhaktisiddhanta said, now bhakti is a unique process. Unique method for some simple reasons. Bhakti from the very beginning, it works with human mind, that is consciousness. In other process, whereas karma and jnana, the body is involved, some breathing practice, pranayama, asanas, and some austerities and all. But also, it is a rough way. It does not have a relationship directly. It does not have a relationship directly to the consciousness, which is there with bhakti. And it limits oneself, other process, tapasya and all. Now, important point, bhakti yoga from the very beginning to the very end deals with our consciousness. That means if I am not consciously doing, I am not doing bhakti. I need to put my consciousness in everything, chanting, in hearing, in reading, in deity worship, conscious practice. What happens is when we are conscious, we get connected to the Chit Shakti of the Lord. And Lord can be pleased only with Chit Shakti. Nothing will touch. Material energy don't touch the Lord. It cannot give. We can access the Lord with Chit Shakti, and that is possible when we are conscious. What happens when we are conscious? We can apply our feelings. Then we'll be able to connect. Of course, I will not go detail. I just want to tell what bhakti can give, because bhakti is a conscious. Consciousness in the end is the most important thing. And all other ways lead us to, there are, of course, in jnana and karma and yoga also consciousness is needed, but at higher stages. But bhakti, we work with our consciousness from the very beginning. So this is the important point. So from the first step, and a person need not try to clean body or something else. Just start whatever state you are a Chandala, Dina, Hina, Ethachilo, just chant Harinam, Uddharilo. It will purify. Now, what is our body? Our body is reflection of our bhava. Bhava means mood. Now, Krishna, he is telling, Yamyam vapi smaram bhavam. See, Yamyam vapi smaram bhavam. Whatever bhava we have, like that body we get. Now, if a person body is according to the bhava he had at the time of death. Now, when we see our face in the mirror, what image we are seeing, that is our bhava. If somebody has animal body, that is his bhava. Now, it all depends on our bhava. Now, bhakti yoga is what? We are changing our bhava. What is the main difference of karma and jnana is the Ishvara bhava continues. But whereas in bhakti, from the beginning, we have the bhava as servant. Material bhava is master's bhava. our bhava, material mood is, I consider myself master, therefore I am independent. But all essential parts of material mood is the desire to protect our independence, our individuality. But Bhakti Yoga offers us way to change this mood. Ishvara bhava, the bhava of a servant. So this is what is. We want to serve. Dasya bhava, the mood of servant, who by definition is always dependent, and who considers himself as part of God and does not want to separate himself from God. This is the bhava. And there are two very essential things that happens, how to develop and all. That is in the last part we'll see. Now here, the important aspect which is explained in karma and jnana, it is still independent, and that is the reason Lord inaugurated the process of karma and jnana. So he is just cheating them. This is fine. So Lord is just cheating the living. Cheating in the sense they want actually like that. It's not that Lord want. Bhakti is a very special process from the beginning, which is not there in any other process. When any other processes, like people do meditations, people do pranayama, yoga, and they're all easy in one way, even though it looks they are doing little complicated things, and they're meditating. Yeah, people meditate now also. They meditate before coffee break or tea break or before a smoke cigarette. They meditation. That's not any meditation. It is not that. Meditation means heart should be clean. Now here the point is the conditions are wandering throughout the universe while following karma and jnana. Because they want to enjoy in this material world. How it happens is like living entities. This is what is criticized by Narada Muni criticizes Vyasdev for this. He says, "I have written so much in the Vedas, and people they are getting bewildered. Yamimam pushpitam vacham prabhavanti avapashyatah vedavada rata partha nanyatastiti vadinah kamatmana swargapara janmalabha parapada kriya vishesha bholam bhogaishwarya gasapati bhogaishwarya prasaktaram taya aparhata chetasam." So these are the people aparhata chetasam also. Bhukti mukti siddhikami sakale ashanti. Now the important point what Krishna is trying to explain here, how these people are bewildered. When Krishna is trying to tell bhakti, then he says, and what Narada Muni also says is, people are hearing too much. If you hear too much, then we get bewildered. What is this too much hearing? Previously, there used to be 4 Vedas: Yajurveda, Samveda, Rigveda, and Atharvaveda. Now we have the 5th Veda. Previously, people used to hear something in the Vedas. They used to get carried away by different advertisements which are given in the Vedas. There are Nandan Kanan gardens, Apsaras, Somarasa, all these things. And they say, okay, you have good progeny, you want to have good children, you want to have nice facilities, you want to be a rich person, you want to be the king. All these things were there, and people were so much attracted. They used to do this. All these things people were doing, and they were getting it. Now, and of course, that was the hearing process that happened previously. And now what is happening now? Now we have 5th Veda, the Google Veda. Google also says, sit at home, in 1 hour you can earn $100. People, yes, they also want to do it. Now, what is the problem? Problem is, this is what is the problem. They get carried away. So they get carried away by all these things. The enjoying mentality in this material world. They cannot come out. So the desire for material enjoyment. and or liberation. So we'll come for material enjoyment and liberation. They are karma and jnana. Now, how different ways of enjoying? Now, also we have many ways of enjoying. You can have sattvic food. You can have carrot juice, tomato juice, and all this, some yoga, pranayama. All these ways are nicely enjoying in this material world only. This is not anything to do with transcendence. When we are working with pranayama, it is all settled body. It is not with the yoga works with mind, jnana works with buddhi. It's little bit of knowledge, but bhakti works directly with ego, directly with identity. So, and now I will just explain how hearing is very important, how it affects us, and why bhakti is very powerful process. Of course, many of the points which are written in the purport you may have known. This one point I thought I will try to elaborate, and how it is very essential, and how karma and jnana, they are this was previously so much people are interested in karma and jnana. Now they are not much in karma and jnana. They are only one religion. It is materialism. They are so much into, but as Thakur was writing, still people are inclined for some little karma. Now also there is karma and jnana, but not very, not, it's in a little, in a subtle way, not in a gross way. I will just tell the tendencies of karma and jnana. Then I will tell how it is, how we have these tendencies. Yes, yeah, this point I will try to elaborate. Desire for material enjoyment, liberation. What is the desire for material enjoyment? When we have, many of us will be having some desire to have some nice facilities at house, good bank balance, and some facilities. There is all these requirements are there for people, and these are material. Desire for free from suffering. Like say somebody, you ask some old devotee, somebody who are chanting, old people, how are you? They say, yeah, I'm chanting. That's why my health is good. Now for them, chanting is for keeping good health. That means this is a desire for liberation. So basically two things. If you want to enjoy, it is karma. If you want to get rid of suffering, it is jnana. This is some basic. We can elaborate and discuss. So these tendencies are there, that we want to be free from suffering and we want to enjoy. This is considered the most intelligent person. Who is an intelligent person? Who is able to maximize his pleasure and minimize suffering. Karma and jnana. Now, when a person who on this platform devotional service, which is mixed with karma and jnana, which are uprooted, then he will attain, then by the influence of pure devotional service, he can attain eternal supreme auspiciousness. Now we have our swabhava, which is having material desires, but our shraddha should be pure devotional faith. This is very important. See, our swabhava will be in three modes, shraddha will be in three modes. Shraddha means my aspirations. Swabhava means my condition. Like I am conditioned to eat chocolates, but I know my shraddha is no, it is bad. It is not favorable for my bhakti. So I have a desire not to. I know I should not do it, but my conditioning is when I see chocolate, I eat. So this is called swabhava. Swabhava will be in three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. Somebody will be very sattvic person. He is always sattvic. Somebody is very tamasic. Now our faith will also be in three modes. Shraddha also. Even tamasic faith means people have faith in ignorant activities, ignorant items. For him, enjoyment means he should go to a disco or a club, or he should drink, or he should eat unnecessarily things. So that is his pleasure. Somebody who is passionate, his name, fame, money, women, cars, houses, his faith is in these things. Somebody's faith is sattvic. He say, okay, natural scenery, yoga, Ayurveda, and sattvic food, music, classical music. His faith is in this. So faith can be three modes, but bodily conditioning is also in three modes. But more important for us is we need to have transcendental faith. So when it is said here, free from jnana and karma means he has pure devotional faith. It is not that his conditions may be there, but faith should be pure. That means we should not have faith in material enjoyment or liberation. We should have faith in that, okay, I want to have a Rolls-Royce car, desire is there, but I should also have conviction that this Rolls-Royce car will not make me happy. By chanting, I will be happy. This is very important. I will explain how. See, try to understand. I'll just add some material for you. This is just, you all know this shloka from Bhagavad Gita. These are 2.62 and 63 only. Not very big. Now, why I am adding this, I'll just why I am just adding, because it's not part of purport, but I added in between. Now, say if water is giving happiness, say I'm very thirsty. I am coming from, now summer started in India. It's very hot in the afternoon. I come after 2-3 hours of going outside. I come. Now I'm feeling very thirsty. Now I get very nice hot water. Now I feel very much satisfied. Now there was some pleasure when I drank the cold water from a nice Indian pot. Now, is there pleasure in that water? I got pleasure drinking that water. Is there pleasure in water? No. Because if there is pleasure in water, whenever I drink that water, I should get the same pleasure. Then where is the pleasure? In the mind. Now, there are alpha, beta, gamma rays. I'm just going to tell little neuropsychology to make us understand what is desires and how we are different from our desires. And then how we should go for pure devotional service. So this is my point. That's why I'm trying to explain this. Now, if there is pleasure in water, it should always give pleasure, but it is not giving. That means where is pleasure? In the mind. What happened to the mind? When we got thirsty, there is agitation in the mind. What is that agitation? I want water. I want water. The time passed, the more agitation increased. So then as soon as I got cold water, then immediately the agitation, the waves that happen in the brain, alpha, beta, gamma waves, the waves subsided. It became normal. So the normal waves, it is considered pleasure. Oh, I enjoyed it. Actually, it is not enjoyment. The waves, they became normal. And similarly, now I want to eat something. Of course, at night we'll not eat now. But say if I want to eat a pizza, now immediately the desire started coming. Then there is an agitation, and now you have to fulfill that desire. Then the agitation subsides. You experience some pleasure. Yes, I got it. And whenever we are getting a desire, there is an agitation in the mind. Whenever we experience, and how it happens? Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha, by contemplation. When we contemplate on the objects of senses, the object is in front of us. Say in front of me there are some cookies. Now I just have to keep in front of me, and what happens? After some time I'll get a desire. Why should I not taste one? Because it is in front of you. You start contemplating on the objects. Like you take small children, 3-4 years, into this big shopping malls. And what will happen when you have children in the shopping mall? They'll say, Mama, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. What is happening? The object is in front of them, they start contemplating. And when you contemplate, then there is appreciation. You say, wow, this is so good, because the packing is very good. Then we get a desire to possess it. Now the point is, I'll just take only this part. All other part, you all know it. I'm just taking this contemplation part. Now, like say, I say a Rolls-Royce car, and it's cool, right? To drive in a Rolls-Royce car, to have a Rolls-Royce car. It's a cool thing. Now, what happens when I look at it and appreciate it, I get it. When you will take a Rolls Royce, I need that Rolls Royce car, I need that car, I need that car. So you have the desire and you want to fulfill that desire. Now, where did the desire come? It's the external thing. It's not our internal thing. Now, even if that desire does not get fulfilled, nothing will happen to us. This is the point I want to tell. Even if our desire is not fulfilled, nothing will happen to us. What is this? It's some vibration that is happening. So just to say, okay, let it be. What can be done? Forget about it. But people take it seriously. If their desire is not fulfilled, I could not get this girl, my parents are not agreeing, or in the college, the youth is very hot-blooded. They say, okay, if my parents do not agree, I will run away from house, or we will commit suicide, or so many other things they do. When desires are not fulfilled, we will commit suicide. Why? Because they think I'm gone. They develop that attachment. Of course, it's more deeper and complicated. I'm just giving this one point only. I just want to tell on contemplation and desire part only. I don't want to go more deeper because that's not our subject. But what point I want to make is that desires are foreign for us. Even if they get fulfilled, that will not make us happy. What is happiness here is just agitation is just subsiding for some time. We consider it as happiness. That's not real happiness at all. That's not real happiness at all. When I eat something or anything, it's some satisfaction of external senses or of the mind, but it is not the satisfaction of heart. There is a difference. Satisfaction of mind is not satisfaction. Satisfaction is heart is satisfaction. Heart is satisfied, then we don't need any sense of gratification. Then we are happy with whatever is available, little bit just to survive, because heart is satisfied. That's what happens. Like sometimes with the mothers who are very small, there's 2-3 months old babies, and mothers, they are feeding them and taking care of them whole day and night. Their heart is satisfied. They don't need much. Their sleep also is very small sleep because child is waking up anytime and they cannot eat also much. And they're sad because heart is satisfied. Like that it happens. Like sometimes we are in a situation where some festival happened and all our friends and relatives came late night, and heart is so much satisfied. Without food also it will work. No, I am satisfied because this is the real satisfaction. Anyway, so what happens here is when our desires, yeah, so this is the part we will discuss now. So what happens is when pure devotional service, there is swabhava. Okay, this one point I will end. Now our desires are separate from us. Now what happens is they are certified mad people who are there in mentalism. But sometimes people get stuck up with some desire. I want to get this project. I want to I want to be very rich. I want to have this house. I want to get married, have children. So sometimes people get obsessed with some desires. And then whole life goes in fulfilling their desires without knowing the purpose of life. So if we know we are separate from our desires, then we start working on purpose of life. Otherwise, we'll work on desires. This is a problem. We should not work on fulfilling the desires. We should work on purpose of our life. That's what Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is telling, that there are two objects. One object is object of enjoyment. Another is object of meditation. Sense objects are enjoyment. It's not for meditation. And meditation is Supreme Lord. We need to meditate on Supreme Lord, not on sense objects. Of course, I also don't know much, but I'm trying to understand. Because all the time goes, okay, what I ate in the morning breakfast, what to eat in lunch, what to eat in dinner, next week what we will eat, and which place to go and see, which dress to wear, which movie to watch. This is all what people meditate on. We need to meditate on Lord, not on sense objects. Now, what I was telling here is Swabhava, the conditioned nature which creates our desires. But our Abhilasha, when we read the Shastras, we get an Abhilasha. No, I don't want all these things. I am attracted to it, but I should not have faith on them. Then what happens? Then what our practice will be? Pure devotional practice. That is what I am trying to explain. And then object of meditation. Okay. So this is the first part of the part. So now, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is telling the devotees of Lord are constantly endeavoring to achieve the eternally relishable service of the Lord. So this is their object of meditation. They are never prepared to serve any temporary, mundane, enjoyable object which is not related to the Lord. So their service is also not related to temporary things. We have actually, what happens is, if we are meditating on ourselves most of the time. Looking, how is my things, how will I sleep, how will I do, how will I. As long as we continue to meditate on ourselves, we will remain unhappy. We will be happy when we start meditating on the Lord. Second is our meditation on matter, which is dead, which is tamoguna. Either our laptop or mobile or house or any things in this world, they are all dead matter, they are matter. Because it is all tamoguna, and tamoguna will enter into our consciousness, and tamoguna is the result of tamoguna is unhappiness. So we continue to remain unhappy. But devotees never serve any temporary mundane objects which are not related to God. Lord always awards one qualification to serve according to one's service attitude. So this is another subject. Now one should not misunderstand that now Lord is serving. That's what this purport is sloka is telling, that Lord is serving who want to serve him. Now somebody may think, oh, Lord is serving everybody. This is what they utilize Lord for. Well, who is Lord? They go to the Lord and they think he is a person who is supposed to fulfill my desires. I just have to go and offer prayers. It is a very sophisticated way of asking the Lord that, my dear Lord, I know you have little forgetfulness. I already told last week that I need all these things. But in case you try to fulfill, don't forget. So, like there, a small child, he write one letter to Lord. My dear Lord, I will not ask you anything. And because I don't ask you anything, you will understand that I am a good boy. And now you understood that I am a good boy. Now you fulfill all my desires. So this is what is the prayer. That, my dear Lord, you are very nice. You are this, you are this. But make sure that my things are also happening. But that should not be there. Lord is not a waiter. You go to the hotel and ask what all things you want. Lord is not a cosmic waiter. That's what Bhaktisiddhanta says. Consider that he is not as a servant. He is doing out of reciprocation. That's the two examples that comes in the next purport. But he is not servant, or we should not treat the Supreme Lord independently, subjugate him by considering him a controller, instrument for fulfilling one's illicit desires. Siddhanta, for everything he gives adjectives only. He does not write direct statement. That's why I do make the purport like this, so that it becomes really easy for us to understand. Otherwise, just directly read. Expect that the Lord will serve such an atheist as a so-called servant. No, Lord is not our servant. No, what Lord does? He engages Maya to fulfill our desires. He is not doing himself. He engages Maya to fulfill our desires. So rather, one must remember that in order to encourage the demonic propensity of being completely controlled by the mundane fruitive activities of living entities, averse to the Lord from time immemorial. In other words, in order to deceive and bewilder the godless living entities, Lord has engaged external Maya on the pretext of facilitating such living entities. So instead of telling that conditioned living entity is facilitated Maya. So many adjectives are demonic propensity, completely controlled by mundane fruitive activities. So all these things are explained in a very nice flowery words, glorifying the conditioned living entities. So now, due to delusion, the conditions will accept the illusion energy as an object of enjoyment, as dear, as related to him, as worshipful, and thus embraces in misconceptions about the absolute truth. There are so many misconceptions about absolute truth. There are 8 types of misconceptions. Not all misconceptions, imperfect understandings. In this way, rather than worshipping the Lord, he becomes intoxicated with a desire to enjoy the fruits of his karma. So this is what we have discussed now. Now, we'll discuss the positive one. If one engages in uninterrupted and unmotivated service, savai pumsam parodharmo vito bhakti radakshita ahaituki aprahatyata. This is ahaituki aprahatyata. Yatma suprasidati. Who is eternally worshipful? Who is this Lord? Who is eternally worshipful? Is a proprietor of Maya and beyond reach of material perception. So then, such a fortunate living entity no longer maintains the propensity or desire for serving temporary separated material objects. So things in this world are temporary. So how a temporary thing can give a permanent happiness? We want permanent happiness. All the things around we see are temporary. How can they give? And they're all we don't see them. We see them separated from Krishna, material objects. Nothing. Then, on the pretext of accepting service from his another devotees, the Lord also serves his own devotees. So here, in this place where, of course, in this pastime also, Ishwarapuri comes when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cooks Bhoga, and he to Ishwarapuri. Ishwarapuri takes and goes, and by the time Lakshmi comes and cooks for the Lord, that is the pastime. But he served his devotee. And here Lord is telling, and he is drinking the water from the lotus feet of a Brahmana. So here he is setting an example. Enacted the pastime of drinking the water that has washed the feet of a Brahmana. The Lord is telling how this is, he is such a great devotee. What is the, you want to glorify the propensity for serving. So I told, what is the difference for bhakti? Bhakti is a conscious process. Conscious where? We are conscious that I am a servant. So it is directly working with the level of ego. And was given up the temporary abominable material pride. This is the second quality. Is desire to serve. And when we will be able to serve? When we are humble. When there is a pride, then that's a tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena seva upadekshanti jnana. We need to have pride on 3 levels. Bodily level, at the level of mind, at the level of ego. We need to know that this person is superior to me, and we should be able to offer obeisances, we should ask questions, and we should render service. That's one. So then there is this material pride is actually the greatest obstacle for everyone. And then who has become Trinadap Sunichena Karoriva Sahishnuna. So he will be able to render service. He is able to tolerate also. And who has accepted the transcendental water, was the eternal lotus feet of eternal Lord Sri Chaitanya Chandra, is the only drinkable substance. So that means is accepted this as the highest thing. What does it mean to circumambulate, to take water from and the dust from their feet? We are accepting he's such an exalted that for me to be a speck of dust for their feet is also such a valuable. I don't even fit to be dust at their feet like that. And then the contrast is what are the other people? And these smartas and praksadyas, they think, oh Lord, is also something. So being bewildered by the illusion energy of the Lord, the smartas and praksadyas, what they think? Who are averse to the Lord and baffled by Maya, consider that pure Brahmanas under the shelter of Lord's lotus feet and and opposite are demonic Brahmanas who are averse to Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas are equal. So they think this type of who are surrendering to lotus feet and they are both are equal. We all know this is not. And they are all Tripanas, they go to hell and absorbed in illusory activities and devoid of spiritual knowledge. And they are not equal to this. They consider that they are Brahmanas who are worshipable, they are on same platform. And then we have this another shloka which is quoted that we should not even see such people's face. I don't know how to avoid when we go outside, we see all these faces, but I don't know how to avoid it. But it is said that we should not take association at least. That must be, because face we cannot avoid. No, we will see everybody's face. And now another point, what is this is a very important shloka. E yataman prapadyante tamastate bhajamam. Vartman vartante manushyapat. This is a very important shloka. Lord is telling that I reciprocate according to people's desires. Now, what is the distortion that is that they try to do it with this verse? They say that okay, mama vartman vartante. They say all the paths lead to the same goal. Mama vartman vartante manushya path saras. This is what they misuse this verse. But they say, you do anything. I know, and in the end you will all reach Keshavam Pratigachati. In the end you will reach to Keshava only. This is what they try to misinterpret. And what type of people are there? Persons who are not follow Vedic principles, who commit mistakes, duplicitous, intoxicated, short-sighted, and habituated to cheating. So these are all people who starts preaching this philosophy. And they are indifferent to understanding the meaning of the word surrender. Of course, this is a very important important point in bhaktis. It's a process of surrender. From the very beginning, we have to surrender. And surrender means we have to give up our ego. We have to be humble. And that's how the process is. And considered and proud non-Vaishnava living entities who are devoid of surrender on the same platform as surrendered Vaishnavas. So they consider both are equal, but with proud they cannot surrender. They are factually engaged in activities that are detrimental to neophytes of this world who are ignorant of scriptural conclusions. So I will just read two purports because they have only this anyway you all know what are the rasas. There are 2.5 in Vaikuntha and 5 rasas in Golokha. So we'll just read the other 2 verses also. Ataeva namatana sevakavatsala apane hariya bhadai pratyabala. The Lord is therefore known as Sevakavatsala, or he who is favorably inclined to his servants. He accepts defeat in order to increase his devotees' growth. There are a few points in this purport. So this purport also I just made into points so that we'll be able to understand. So the commentary says, on the path of regulative devotional service in which the worshipable Lord is Vishnu. What is Vishnu? Who is Vishnu? The qualities of opulence rather than sweetness, and regulative awe and reverence rather than attachment. So this is Vaikuntha, are more prominent. So opulence is more prominent than sweetness. Regulative awe is more prominent than reverence. Regulative awe and reverence is more prominent than attachment. Sorry. But in service, in Krishna service, full of sweetness of Lord opulence is not overcovered. And since affection for his servant is extremely prominent therein, their loving servants are more prestigious and exalted also. And then there is one more statement. One should not misunderstand that the diminished prominence of opulence in sweetness diminishes the prominence of sweetness. That means, okay, because they don't know how great Lord is, maybe their attraction may be less. No, 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 no. Even they don't know that Krishna is Supreme Lord also, their sweetness is unlimited. So, or the Lord being controlled is an exaggeration. That is also known. Now, there are two examples that are given. One is about Bhishma Dev, where Krishna is Bhishma Dev is fulfilling my desires and sacrificing his own promise. That means Lord is breaking his promise. He got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me, hurling, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garments on the way. This is the one shloka. And then the next shloka is about Mother Yashoda. Because Mother Yashoda's hard labor, her whole body became overcovered with perspiration, and the flowers and the comb were falling from her hair. When child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be born. Great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra is under the control of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He comes under the control of his devotees. And this was now exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. And then we have the last sloka of today. Sarvatra Rakshaka Hena Prabhura Charana Baladeki Ke Mate Chadibe Bhaktagana. The devotees have only the Lord as their protector. Therefore, how can they give up his lotus feet? Commentary. The anala devotees can never give up the service of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, who is very affectionate to his devotees. So, Lord does not do. The Lord also never gives up his anala devotees. In other words, the Lord and his devotees can never be separated for a moment. Rather, the Lord always protects his devotees in all respects. The devotee also protects the Lord. This is another. The devotee also protects the Lord from attack of impersonalists. And what they do? Delivering the Lord from the cruel hands of those who are hostile to him in display of devotees' compassion. Moreover, by always broadcasting his glories throughout his devotees, the Lord protects the non-devotees from immediate destruction. In order to increase the glories of his beloved pure Brahmanas, the Lord concludes his pastime of having fever and thus broadcast in this world the glories of Brahmanas who are engaged in the service of the Lord. So, thank you all very much. It was a big purpose, so I tried a little bit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this wonderful class. As you're explaining this verse, Prabhu, the first verse, the same verse, the same like what you said, like the more what we have, we get the body. The same verse, the meaning is also explained in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, like 8th or 9th verse, right, Prabhu? We have the same verse. Stotram Chakshus Parshanam Grahanam.
Yeah.
The same verse, the same meaning we get, right, Prabhu?
Yes.
Whatever we have, like tongue, ear, nose, taste, that's how we perceive, right, Prabhu?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I got to remember that verse, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this wonderful class, Prabhu. Yeah, so dear devotees, anybody would like to share their realizations, or if you have any questions, please raise your hand. We can take your questions like that in the order.
I have a question, Mataji.
Yeah, please, Mataji. Please go ahead.
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji, Dadva Pranams. Thank you for the class. Prabhuji, I just needed some clarity on when you were actually discussing Swabhava. So you said it could be in the three modes, right? Like passion, goodness, or ignorance. So I was wondering, so this Svabhava is on a material plane, right? But the Swarupa is the spiritual one.
Yeah.
Am I right understanding that?
Yes.
And also the other question was when you were saying that bhakti is more difficult than the other processes in terms of consciousness. I didn't quite catch that, Prabhu. Can you please elaborate?
I was telling that bhakti from the beginning, we have to consciously perform. Whereas in other process, you don't need to be consciously. You just have to follow the rules and regulations properly for karma. For jnana, you need to always contemplate on what is right, what is right, what is wrong. But whereas in bhakti, every time when we are chanting, we may be chanting 16 notes, but we have not consciously chanted even one mantra. We don't get anything from it. We need to, even if you chanted one mantra consciously, we get benefit. That means what important is, consciousness important. When we are conscious, we put our feeling into it, then there is a devotional aspect, then the chit potency, that will what pleases the Supreme Lord. To connect to Krishna, we cannot connect with any of these mundane things. Our sound vibration is also mundane. But when we are conscious, when it comes from the soul, then the chit potency that touches the Lord and it pleases Him. So ultimately, a bhakti, why we are doing is to please the Lord. So if there is no feeling, we cannot please Him. It won't affect only, it will not reach Him. That is the point. That's why we have to be conscious from the beginning.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. I just was not clear when you said like the sound vibrations. I mean, when we are chanting, so is that on a spiritual plane, or are you saying that depending on our intent and consciousness, it could just be material? I mean, can you please clarify, Prabhu?
Our sound will be material only, but to make it spiritual, we have to be conscious. If we are conscious, it comes from the heart, then it is spiritual. The prayer is tape recorder also chants. It is some material sound vibration. So ours is also is a mission. It is also making sound vibration. To make it spiritual, we need to put our consciousness. Otherwise, it remains material. Prasadam, it's also food, but consciously we offer it to Lord, then that becomes prasadam.
Sure, Prabhuji, that really helps. And also, we do hear in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Like, I mean, meditation and such processes, are in one sense very difficult, and bhakti is actually easier in that sense because you are trying to please the Lord.
Bhakti is the only easy, Mataji. That is true. No. What I am telling is, other processes, they are more mechanical. Bhakti is the only thing we can do in Kali Yuga. Other things are not possible only. To do karma, you need to be following rules and regulations so strictly, and especially you need to be born in a higher birth. We cannot do karma yoga, especially yajnas and other things cannot be done by any lower caste. And then jnana is out of question, because to practice jnana, first thing is needed to take sannyas. And yoga means we have to go to Himalayas and do dhyana yoga. So none of the practice are possible in Kali Yuga. Only thing that is possible in Kali Yuga is bhakti. And for bhakti, we need to be consciously doing. That is the point I was telling. Not that I am telling this is difficult. I am telling other processes are not possible, not of question. First thing is women and children and people of Kali Yuga who are Shudras, they are not qualified only. Means I am not qualified. We are not qualified in one way to do karma. And yoga and jnana, there is out of question. Bhakti is for everyone. Children also can chant and perform bhakti.
Sure, Prabhuji, thank you. Sorry if I'm asking two dumb questions. I just got a little confused.
No. I don't want to confuse, but good you have asked. Maybe some statements which I made it confused you. Sorry for it, but you understood my point, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, I understood where you're coming from when you say that, we need to apply ourselves to bhakti. So in that sense, It's not like any mechanical thing you can just do and
I am telling it's not mechanical thing. Other processes are mechanical, but they are difficult. Even though bhakti is not mechanical, but it is only easy process and practical for us in Kali. That's the point.
Thank you so much, Hare.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Now we have Gail Mataji. Mataji, please go ahead with your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, just if you could elaborate on the fact that when Krishna is allowing himself to be controlled by his devotees, that's his greatest opulence. I think we were hearing something similar this morning too in our class. So, can you explain how? I mean, my own interpretation is that it's an opulence in the sense that he is expressing love, by. Anyway, you can do it. Do it.
You already know that.
Oh, I need to hear it.
Now, Prabhupada gives example like no grandfather is making the child sit on his back and he's working like a horse, and sometimes the father is fighting with the son and he gets defeated in the boxing. Even though he's a boxing champion, he gets defeated with the son, and this is an expression of love. When Krishna is fighting with the Sridhama, he always gets defeated. And when he is with the gopis tie him, they chastise him, they do. And Krishna feels that reciprocation love. Mother Yashoda is chastising and tying, and Krishna is feeling dependent on Mother Yashoda. And these are all different rasas Krishna experiences. And now when he's sitting on the chariot, Bhishma Dev is actually glorifying that. Oh my dear Lord, you are doing both Aishwarya Leela and Madhurya Leela. As a Aishwarya, you are looking at the army of all the Kauravas, and their age, their age is getting diminished. they're approaching death. And you are doing Madhurya also. You are driving the chariot of Arjuna and expressing your love for him and showing how much you care. Now, both the things. So this is how Lord experiences pleasure. And this is highest because there is something called Lord's different energies. They are controlled. Here, Aishwarya does not come in picture only. When Mother Yashoda was chasing Krishna, then Krishna's Aishwarya Shakti is trying to stop. How can somebody catch the Lord? It did not allow. But when Krishna saw that Mother Yashoda is perspiring and she is going through some difficulty, immediately his Karuna Shakti, it manifested and it overpoured his Aishwarya Shakti and said, okay, you get lost. His Karuna Shakti means it's more intimate and it's more, here it is, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is telling that is something very high compared to the other two processes. These are little more superior. So accepted as superior. Yeah, so yes,
yeah, so I think the reason why I needed to hear you explain is because I think it's because of this word opulence, right? Normally the word opulence has the connotation of things connected to Aishwarya, you know, this word opulence is not, the connotation is not normally love.
No. It is about sweetness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we don't normally think of opulence and sweetness in the same thought.
Yes.
That was what I think was throwing me off a bit, but when we talk about opulence and Krishna consciousness, Krishna's display of sweetness and love and affection are considered an opulence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So here they are considered more exalted and prestigious. The loving servants are more prestigious and exalted. This is what Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is telling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because it's what is most fulfilling to the heart. So whatever is most fulfilling to the heart makes sense that we call that, an opulence,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We have a question from Prahalanand Prabhuji. Prahalanand Prabhuji, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much, Mataji. And then we pranam to Prabhuji and more Mataji here. Prabhuji, I have a question regarding the word desire. Okay, sometimes back, I was wondering where exactly is the origin of our desires. And I put this question on Quora.com and got about 12, 13 answers from all over the world and different faith people, but none of them, were satisfactory to my understanding. What I understand myself is that the desire does not arise in the mind.
ChatGPT also you tried.
And, it doesn't arise in my intelligence, but I understand it actually originates from the spirit soul, which I'm my own ID. And I understand Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, Ichhadve samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. So desire actually arises in the spirit soul or in the material mind or in the spiritual mind, or where exactly is it? Because the desires, as we understand, are material and spiritual, right? So spiritual desires are inbuilt with the spirit soul, I understand. But why does the material desire come and then we select to get enjoyment apart or independent of Lord Krishna? That's what puzzles me. So please give us some kind of enlightenment on that, please. Very well.
The spiritual, the desire, it is from the soul only. Now, presently, what is happening? The soul is desiring to enjoy. So what happens is the sound vibrations are at 4 levels. I discussed this previously in one section. So we have the soul is speaking. There is at the level, this is called Paravak. Then there is Vaikarika Vak, Pashyanti Vak, Madhyam Vak, and Paravak. So there is Pashyanti Vak, and that is at the level of intelligence. And then there is Madhyam Vak at the level of Manas. And then Vaikari Vak, which we are speaking. So what happens is desire for the soul is I want to enjoy. That is what the desire is. It is not having any specific desire, but there is a desire to enjoy. That's all. Now what happens is, based on the experiences we are going through, different impressions that are created, and that impressions create, and one desire is there, I want to enjoy. Does not tell any specific thing. Now, but when I see an object, then there are some samskaras. Say I am going on a road and I see some white substance. Immediately the eyes will go and search in the chitta and say, oh, it's an ice cream. And then as soon as chitta say ice cream, it goes to Manas. Manas says, oh, it's cool, it's sweet, and it's this, and I like it. So chitta will give information. Manas Manas is always binary. I like, I don't like. I like, I don't like. As soon as Manas says I like, Ahankara says I want it. As such, the soul is saying only one thing: I want to enjoy. And remaining all functions are trying to facilitate that desire of the soul to enjoy. And it is enjoying in different species. Okay, you want to enjoy like a dog, cat, whatever animal, based on the sanskaras. Now, when we chant, we are slowly chanting and going more and more deeper. I want to serve. So we are creating a desire in the soul that, okay, I want to serve. So then instead of the ego, in saying I want to enjoy, we have to say I want to serve. So the sound vibration, the chanting should go to that level.
So for developing spiritual desires, I think sadhu sang is the most important inducing or predisposing factor, I understand. And that's what I also feel that, in my life, before reading Srila Prabhupada's, I had, unlimited kind of material desires, conscious and unconscious. But since I read Prabhupada's literature, then I realized that, the spiritual desire is the real desire one should have as
spiritual
spirit soul. Is the Anandamaya Abhyasat, as you are saying, we are all looking for pleasure. But the real pleasure we don't realize unless some enlightened soul, pure devotees, Bhagavan, like, Sri Prabhupada, who guides us in this kind of matter. Okay, thank you very much, Prabhupada.
What happens is spiritual desire prove when we just associate with great Vaishnavas, their soul is vibrating, I want to serve. So when we go near them, then that vibration affects us. We also feel maybe I also want to serve. So the desire to enjoy is transformed, because as such the dharma of a soul is to serve only. But now it wants to serve the senses. Now then it will get a desire, maybe I should serve the devotees, I should serve the Vaishnavas. So that desire starts coming. But that is the soul's desire now. Presently the soul's desire is I want to enjoy, that's why we are in material world. Once the soul says I want to serve Krishna, we are in spiritual world.
Thank you very much. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Very well.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. If anybody have any more questions or they would like to share, Vinita Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a beautiful class. I don't have any question, but thank you for accepting on the call and giving such a beautiful class. Very grateful to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji, I think there are no more questions, Prabhuji. So with your permission, I would like to end the call, Prabhu. And we would like to have your associates more on the call, Prabhuji. So with this note, I would like to pay my obeisances to you and all the devotees on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha krupa sindhu bhyayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada, Caitanya Bhagavat ki jai, His Grace Radha Pramod Das Prabhu ji ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Koti
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone,
Prabhuji,
for joining today's class.